Welcome to Podtendo, a Nintendo podcast, where they analyze, reminisce, and replay the glory of old Nintendo games. Okay, hey guys, welcome to our year in review show. So we've done this for a couple years. I really like doing it because I say one of my favorite parts of doing a podcast. I'm your co-host, Mick. This is Podtendo Podcast Year in Review Show. I'm joined every episode by my lovely Italian co-host,
Tyson.
Nice. So as I was saying, one of the reasons I like doing this is being able to go back in the last couple years and just kind of reflect and listen and be like, oh, that was what's going on, or oh, that's what my thoughts were on these things. It's kind of neat. It's cute. It's for me. Maybe it's for you because you like listening to me, but there you go. Was it 2 years ago, 2019, I was listening, and I said that my favorite TV show of the year was Game of Thrones The Long Night. And I said, really? That is a weird take, but I'm glad I had it, and now I can go back and listen to it.
Yep. I love being able to go back, learn, listen to my old self, and see how much I've grown.
There you go. Nice. So with that, good year? Pretty good year for you, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it was a pretty good year. Overall, I think it wasn't too bad. Things kind of got semi-back to normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting time. But interesting to see what 2022 brings.
Yeah, nice. Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. So without further ado, let's just jump into it and dive into what is our top news story of 2021. So some nominations by myself. I have a hot summer. It was incredibly warm. I think around most of the globe, especially here in kind of Alberta and Canada. We had days of it was like 40 degrees. It was just hot all the time. It was awful. You were sweating. So that was kind of interesting. We had hobby cards. So I love collecting cards. I've collected cards my whole life, whether they're Spider-Man or X-Men cards or sports cards of some variety. And that is kind of taken off in a little bit more of the mainstream, right? I've got back into it, probably invested more money than I should have. Only showing a little bit of, red on my ledger, so it's not the end of the world, right? I need to clean that up probably. I might even do a card show, so I think that's kind of really neat, the fact that that's kind of taking off and everyone is kind of reconnecting with this love of cards, right? Buying cards, but opening cards, collecting cards, or vaccines. The fact that it looks like we're kind of, maybe there's some light at the end of this tunnel, and vaccines were kind of given out in huge variety, and just all the controversy that came out with that. Same with people saying it's my body, you don't put stuff in it, or whatever. So, top news story, Tyson. Do you have any nominations or votes?
This year has been, I guess, from my perspective, supply chain issues across the board. It's the kind of fallout from the shutdowns and the coronavirus kicking around still. Mm-hmm. So, mostly supply chain stuff, like chips, getting graphics cards, getting new consoles, getting new vehicles. Everything that needs a chip is kind of just bogged down and difficult to get. So that seems to be the echoing thing, is between vaccines and supply chain issues. So
okay, nice. Yeah, I'd probably go vaccines. It's just kind of the joy that it brought some people, and the other people were like, I'm just gonna quit my job and not have a job anymore because I'm not gonna get vaccinated. And I was like, that is dumb.
Yeah, it's hard to give up your livelihood for.
I mean, I guess I respect the fact that they would do it. I just think it's dumb.
Yes, well, in my eyes, vaccines have helped a lot of people.
It doesn't. We don't have to make it more political than that. It's just kind of like, we're probably on one side, and if you're against us, just don't be dumb.
I don't care.
In fact, one of my favorite things in life is listening to dumb people talk about conspiracy theories, because their lack of education and just stupidity is actually what's leading them down these paths, right? It's, yeah, right. And it's I heard someone at work the other day, and they were like, oh, you ever notice that billionaires, when they murder people, their trials are never shown on TV? What's that about? They're just covering it up and getting away with it, and they can just kill whoever they want. And I'm like, yeah, but what, I don't think trials are usually things you show, right?
Yeah, well,
unless it's a very high profile case. They don't usually televise most murder cases.
Yep, usually not. There is a court TV, and if they are in court that day, as long as you're in that jurisdiction,
Yeah.
Yes,
But it's
it's
like,
not broadcast on
but like
YouTube.
this
But
this person is like convinced that billionaires can get away with murder, but because they don't show them on TV on trial. I'm like,
well, that that's that's very shallow logic. That if I can't see it on TV, it doesn't exist. It's like, oh,
yeah. So anyway, so it's one of those things where it's just like sometimes stupidity. I'm like, I understand why they are the way you are. Anyway, so top news story. So that's out of the way. Let's look at staying on the TV. Now Tyson's brought it up. What is your top TV show of the year? This is one of the harder categories for myself to kind of just pick a favorite, clear cut favorite, because there are some strong contenders. We had a season of Rick and Morty drop this year. Star Trek, which was my pick last year, Lower Decks. Another season came out, although it just didn't stick with me as well as the last season for some reason. I don't know, I've struggled to get through it. Superstore finished. It was one of those shows I kind of early on in the pandemic when I was stuck at some lockdown. I think I sat and watched that all day, and I just pretend I worked at this Walmart adjacent store in this show. It's not bad. Maybe give it a watch. Ted Lasso came out. I think we watched the first season. Second season came out. It was one of those kind of warm-hearted shows. If you don't have Apple TV, it might be worth the investment to binge watch these like 20 episodes. Delightful. Wanda Vision and just the MCU kind of shifted to Disney Plus streaming services. There was lots of cool stuff there between the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki and the What Ifs. And right now we're currently seeing Hawkeye or something like that, right? And then the Mayor of Easttown, which was the what's her face girl. Shoot, I should know this. Mayor of Easttown, starring, oh gosh, what's her name? Kate Winslet.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Delightful little show on HBO. One of the standouts. So those are kind of like my things. Any other TV shows stand out on your end?
For me, it was kind of a softer year for TV. Yeah, there's a lot of returning stuff. I really like this season of Lower Decks. The couple episodes about the guy coming back. Like anytime they make really meta episodes.
Yeah.
Or the one
the security officer sacrifices himself in the first season. He's just mysteriously back, and they just don't talk about it.
Yeah, and they mention like, well, what could it have been? And then they go down this long list of stuff that you're like, oh my goodness, they've literally used all these excuses, and they're just listing them out. This is brilliant. I thought that was like really, really well done. Midnight Mass was also very interesting to watch. I mean, I'm a big horror person, and I thought that it was just really tight knit and really a lot of characters kind of didn't act the way I would expect them to act, and I really appreciated that. And some people acted exactly the way I expected them to act, and I kind of like also appreciated that. It's a very well done movie, but it's definitely more mature. However, I think that the one surprise thing that I was just absolutely blown away by was the latest season of South Park. The post-COVID is actually like, it made me feel like South Park was back for the first time in a long time. And I genuinely like was laughing out loud at certain points and had just an amazing experience. And I'm looking forward to seeing where they kind of go from this, because it feels like the creative break that they've kind of given themselves, but still made content, I think it's finally kind of paid off. So it feels like they're back in full swing.
I went looking for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I think
it's on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, I think I might have to go through my TV.
Doesn't have an app on Xbox or anything. Yeah. Like I ended up streaming it on my like laptop.
So. Gotcha. I might have to be able to go through my TV and find it, because like Much Music has the rights to it or something, so you can watch it on demand. You just have to watch like their commercials occasionally, which isn't terrible. So myself, Ted Lasso is a delightful show. I think season 1 is better than season 2, although if you apparently binge watch season 2, it moves a little quicker. I've been told it is really good. Mayor of Easttown, probably the best show I watched, right? If I was to just say like straight up, what show did I watch that I was like, wow, that was absolutely phenomenal start to finish, like that was probably up there. I'm gonna go with Wanda Vision though, based on the fact that during the 6 weeks that it was on TV, it was weird, it was unique. There was these weird like beekeepers that showed up. The Agatha All Along song topped iTunes for like a week afterwards for a couple days. I think just the experience in that monoculture, which I've talked about before, right? So everyone is talking about it, thinking about it. Have you seen WandaVision, right? If it came out on Thursday nights, at Friday at work, you couldn't talk to anyone, right? Because someone might spoil something what happened to you until you got home that night and saw it. And it was just one of those landmark achievements Other MCU shows haven't really hit that point, I don't think. But WandaVision, I think it was so weird and unique. We almost got the X-Men, right? Quicksilver showed up, but it wasn't Quicksilver, and they took that away. I think that was just kind of, again, landmark achievements of the year. I think WandaVision was up there for it. So
That's fair. I have mixed feelings about that because I wanted them to just do like the actual reset like they do in comics, but if this is what we're gonna get, this is what we're gonna get. So.
100%. And I think, again, mine is not so much more of the content or what happened. It was more of just like that event. Almost, it felt more like an event than just a TV show, right? So cool. Okay, how about top? And then for some reason we go TV shows to sports stories. That's what we've done the past year, so I'm not going to question our logic. We're just going to lean into it. So what is your top sports stories of the year?
I think Shohei Ohtani having like an incredible year of like showing he's a two-way player of pitching and batting, going to the home run derby, winning the MVP. Like he was just had a monstrous year. He's not like the best pitcher in the world, but I think he shows that he's a very incredibly talented pitcher, and he's easily like starting rotation material.
Yeah,
and he's also like got a bat, and it was just so fantastic to see this guy who clearly works so hard and is just like nothing but praise to Shohei Ohtani. So
nice. Sweet. For myself, I've kind of got three. I've got the Montreal Canadiens, so they sneaked into the playoffs. We'll call it that. It was a weird division. Went to the Stanley Cup Finals. And then since then, they've just they drafted a sex offender in the first round. Carey Price, has had some substance abuse issues that have popped up, and he's in rehab. And Shea Weber, their captain, is hurt. He'll never play hockey again. Like, it's just weird. They've, they fired their coach, their GM. It's just always seems like it's, I don't know. They've made some deal with the Devil somewhere along the line to get into the postseason, and they're paying for it right now. So I think that's kind of a fun fall from grace. The Raptors drafted Scottie Barnes. Looks like he's going to be kind of a generational talent, potentially, how he develops and grows, and they can kind of building piece. So it was kind of fun watching them miss out on the playoffs, win for myself as a Raptors fan, right, win the draft lottery, get this great player. Or just watching old man Tom Brady. He's 40 something, 43, wins Super Bowls, beats the best player in football. Screw you, Tom.
Hey, he takes great care of himself, and his hair does not recede at all, and he's never had implants in his hair.
No, not at all. He just eats his carrot juice shakes. So I don't know, of those, what am I going to say with? I think
pH balance.
I think Montreal. I would fondly look back and like to know that the Montreal Canadiens, just what a weird playoff run. Like, again, in the Stanley Cup Finals, they were embarrassed in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now they're just one of the worst hockey teams out there. It's truly fascinating.
Yeah, it's a complete 180. Like you sometimes you see people who make the playoffs fall off the next year, but this is some next level fall off. This is like if the Detroit Lions made the Super Bowl, lost, and then went back to their 1-15 ways.
Yeah.
It's
it is
that kind of a whiplash. Like, it's a huge drop, and just what happened to this team that went from looking offensively threatening and defensively deep in the playoffs to now just scraping by wins every now and then. It's weird.
It's bizarre. So that's what you get to remember in 2021 is that's the thing that happened. So suck it, Montreal Canadiens. How about top movies? So there we go. So now we don't talk about sports anymore. We have jocks, a bunch of video game jocks over here. Shout outs to that RIP to that podcast. There you go. So top movies. We can get back into our bread and butter. Maybe we're going back to movies next year. We're not really sure. So I didn't watch a lot of movies. I think I saw 2 movies in theaters. That was Shang-Chi and Black Widow. Other than that, I didn't go to a theater, so maybe not the greatest showing, but I probably watched some stuff at home, right? Space Jam came out. I watched that. It wasn't bad. People shit on Space Jam. They're like, "Oh, this movie sucks," and it's not as good as the first one. The first one was just as stupid.
Yeah, these are Looney Tunes movies, people. Mean, these are not highbrow classic Citizen Kane-esque pictures that you're like, wow, what a thinker. It's Space Jam. It's a game about Looney Tunes and NBA players playing basketball
100%.
For some made up reason. It's about the wacky antics. If you can't just shut off your brain and be a kid again and just watch this movie, it's maybe stop watching kids movies.
Basically, I mean, like people are like, oh, but like the original Space Jam wasn't very good. I don't know. Anyways, we watched Old, the M Night Shyamalan movie about these people that like age really quickly on a beach. It was interesting. Wasn't great. Wasn't bad. It was somewhere in the middle, and there were some like interesting parts, and like I feel like people should watch it just so you can like talk about it, but like knowing that there's gonna be weird parts, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I have not seen this.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's worth it. Anyways, other ones I watched Love Hard, which is kind of like a romantic comedy. It's on Netflix. It was actually it's about like Christmas. It was actually much better than I thought. I don't know. It made my list. Practical Magic with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock, and it's an older movie. And I think at some point, I think I might have been really high when I watched it, because there was like, man, there was some weird stuff going on. Like at some point they murder their husband and they have to cover it up, and then he comes back to life, and it's like, it was fucked up. Like,
it's one of those movies where you're like, well, I don't know how I feel about this.
Pretty much. So those are that. The Fear Street trio of movies that came out, I was really excited. I, love to hate me and some R.L. Stine. So when I saw that Fear Street was getting a 3-movie trilogy over the summer, it was definitely one of those things on Fridays. I was really excited to like watch it, and I watch YouTube videos afterwards and dissect it. And the first one is not bad. Like the first one is actually pretty good. The second one is kind of not good, and the third one is just weird. But like the first one, pretty good, right? And like it's interesting, and they have some fun characters, but it's strange. And I'm hoping Spider-Man, which is coming out in a week, is good. So really top movies. I don't know. Are those my choices? Spider-Man? I'm going to give it a... I'm just going to hope I really like Spider-Man and give it to Spider-Man, but maybe the Fear Street trio?
Well, you missed out. I'm telling you. And I'm next seeing this, me ranting about this coming from a mile away. No Time to Die was fantastic. I know there's a lot of people that are kind of mixed sometimes about it, but I kind of hear what they're saying, and I kind of just like, okay, that's just a personal opinion. That's not really a valid argument against the movie. It's super solid. I've watched this like every single James Bond movie, so I mean I'm super biased here, but watching the whole Daniel Craig trilogy, and letting it actually get the ending it got, I think is so incredibly awesome that it just makes me feel like, and I know why some people are like, oh, I don't really like the ending. It's like, it's because they've been kind of spoon-fed the same thing, and they kind of just want the same thing again and again and again, and if it doesn't have a to be continued, they kind of get like a really like, what? There's not a second one, or no? Blah, blah, blah. It's like no, like kind of. Sometimes there's an end to the story, and I love me some Stephen King, but that man cannot write an ending. It's hard to write an ending. It's one of the hardest things to do. It's just to kill off your characters or to write things, and I think that the way they handled the ending in like the to No Time to Die was so well done that even my like girlfriend was like, that was so good. It's like, yeah, I can't believe they actually like let it happen and like let this story just like play out. Like just the contained movies alone, so freaking good. I'm gonna be surprised when people don't nominate this for a bunch of awards, because honestly I think it's super well directed, it's very well filmed, the pacing's really well done, and honestly like I've seen this movie like 2 times already. I'd easily watch it a third, and yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like, I'll watch it, but I still have to prepare myself. Like, am I ready for this emotional roller coaster that I'm about to go on? And it's like that's me being a huge James Bond fan, so I mean, take that with a grain of salt. But I really like this movie, so this would be my choice for.
I mean, I haven't seen any new movies. I probably should go and watch it. I always say, I'm like, I should watch these other ones. I should just pull off the Band-Aid and say, I'm watching the James Bond movies. It's going to happen. I will definitely watch them. We'll follow your recommendations. Although, I'm going to throw some shade at you. So I'm going to say, yeah, I hope that this movie does. I've heard good things. I've heard good praise. I will. And that's the end of Daniel Craig, eh?
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, I would like to point out that the Suicide Squad was released this year. And in the past, we talked about it. And you're like, "Oh, the Suicide Squad is so great," but you didn't mention it here. So I'm starting to think that maybe the Suicide Squad wasn't one of your favorite movies and wasn't good to begin with. So
No, the recent one that came out, I didn't go watch it.
I mean, the first one sucked. I'm sure the second one also sucked. And I know last year you were saying, you're like, "Oh man, Harley Quinn was so great," and I was watching it one day, and I think I stopped like 45 minutes in the movie. I was like, "This movie sucks." I just haven't went back to it. So
okay, no, Birds of Prey is it's a comic book. Like it's so delightful.
Sure.
You have to watch it with the right frame of mind. But I mean, I guess I really disliked the new Suicide Squad. I didn't really want to even give it a chance because it's a James Gunn movie. And honestly, I'm also of the opinion where I'll throw some shade your way, and I don't like the Guardian of the Galaxy movies, period. Like, I don't like them at all. Like, they're one of those movies where like, oh, hey, this. And you're like, good. I don't want to watch that. I already know.
Yeah, my love for the... My love for the second one is probably...
Shrugged.
My love for the second one is probably unheralded. But the first one, I think, is like actually is much better than it should have been. Like, it's one of those things where it's like kind of goofy, and you're like, there's a tree, and you're like, all right, I get it, it's fun.
Yeah, to me, it's got that Marvel rub to it, where there's no.
So you're saying is
jokes.
I would
there's no
like
good
the new Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, 100%. Because and yeah, you'd like it a lot.
Right. I should give it a chance.
And everybody that I said that has seen it has liked it,
right.
But I also like, I don't know, as the Suicide Squad side tangent, DC goes down weird tangents, and honestly just seeing the random hodgepodge of characters, as soon as I saw Nathan Fillion, I was out. I'm out. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, you didn't even mention the Justice League Dark, which obviously should be the best movie ever.
Did that come out this year? Because that was really good.
No, I watched the first one, and then there were some people stuck in a shed where they were getting attacked by them, and I was like, I don't care. Like most DC movies, I'm like, no, I'm done. Anyways, cool. That's where we're at. We'll move on from there.
I like that in your top 10 list, you said that you saw both Marvel movies, Shang-Chi and Black Widow, and they weren't on your top 10. Just saying.
I don't
maybe
think
everybody's a little bit superhero burnt out, because let's face it.
I mean, I think they're fine.
It's time.
You know what? Actually, I think Black Widow might be stronger than Shang-Chi. And it wasn't a terrible movie. Like Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson
again,
act their pants off. Like, they're delightful in those films.
But there's just, again, they're superhero movies, so you just kind of like, it's like the Star Wars burnout thing again. It just you can only watch the same thing so many times before you're like, I just need, like, burgers are delicious, but if you ate burgers 6 days out of the 7 days out of the week, you would start to be like, I kind of want something else. It's not that burgers aren't awesome. They're good. The
Eternals, like, I haven't seen Eternals yet. I didn't go to the theaters to watch it because I was like, I'm not really interested, right? Like, Spider-Man, I'm going to go see. So, again, Spider-Man burnout. I'm like, I haven't seen Spider-Man, but I'm anticipating I'm going to like it, you know? So, I don't know if it's just that, but it's just more of a, I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood to see Eternals in theaters.
Yep. Right. Burgers are no longer the hot thing in town. They're good, and you still want to have them in the rotation, but it's like you don't want to eat that, 4 days or 6 days out of the week.
Yeah.
You want to have some variety.
That's true. So there you go. I know how to push Tyson's button, so I just have to make fun of things he likes, and he gets upset, so it's fine. How about top video games of the year? So here's another exciting category. So you're like, you thought my movie selection was bad? You should see what video games I played this year. So my video games that I've played this year, Metroid Dread, Pokemon Snap, and Super Mario World / Bowser's Fury. So I played 3 Nintendo games this year. That's it. Everything else was older. I think I played Final Fantasy VII Remake. That was it. Those are all the games I played. So one of those has to be my top video game of the year. Tyson, what is your top video game of the year?
Well, shoot. I had Game Pass, so I've played lots of new games. So I'll say, like, I've played Hades. I've played... I'm replaying the Mass Effect series on the Legendary Collection. I played Halo Infinite, and I think the only game I would want to have on my list of, like, here's some good games that are for me, my personal pick. Not saying that those other ones are bad, just I really like the Mass Effect Legendary series, but that's kind of controversial because it's like, here's a rehash of old games. They've just got an HD remaster. It's like, but I like that. They're good games, and I didn't have, like, 3 or 2. I only had the first one, and it has really bad graphics, and they gave me new graphics, so Well, shoot, they got my money, so.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Here.
Okay, cool. So Mass Effect. I liked Bowser's Fury. It was kind of different, but essentially it was just like an open world game, and you had very repetitive boss fights, which I wasn't a huge fan of. Pokemon Snap was fine. You had to replay the game a lot, though. Like, you were playing through those quick little missions multiple times to unlock everything, which was all right at the end, but it wasn't great. Metroid Dread, people are talking about it as the game of the year. It's this landmark achievement. Hot take coming your way, people, in 5, 4. Metroid Dread kind of sucks. It was very linear. Essentially, the game points you in a direction and you just go. You find a new power up. You don't go back to the original areas and explore, because exploring isn't a thing they want you to do. You just keep moving where the game wants you to, right? You get an elevator, it takes you to a new area. You follow a hallway. You fight a guy. The boss fights are super repetitive. Do you like fighting chrono bosses or like these big chorizo bosses, guys? Because you have to fight them like 12 times. Other bosses are super frustrating. If you don't get the pattern down 100%, they don't give you enough resources to actually defeat them and just like boss hog it. Like Super Metroid, you could beat any boss just with your overpower of abundance, right? Like, here's all these missiles, super missiles. You have a bunch of health. Go. But you have some room for error. In this game, if you make errors, you die, and you have to just basically replay. Every boss you have to play multiple times, a dozen times. It's rewarding, I guess, when you beat them, but like, the bosses aren't fun, right? And at the end of the game, you just literally fight these stupid chorizo guys. I don't think I liked it. Like, it kind of sucked. After I had everything, I went back and like fully explored the world and got some more power-ups, because I'm like, I probably need this for the final boss, because the final boss is probably gonna be unrelenting. And I'm now in like my dozenth playthrough trying to fight the final boss, and I'm like, it sucks. This game was not great at all. So that's why I guess my game of the year is Pokemon Snap. There you go, Pokemon Snap. Good job.
Nice. Yeah, I heard kind of mixed things about it, and I was kind of fearing picking it up.
I've only heard people blow it. People are like, this is the greatest game ever. Metroid is back. And I'm like,
really?
That's all I've heard. I've only heard positive things. Like, I actually wanted to do it more of a deep dive into it. I don't want it spoiled, because like, maybe there's something, like the ending is like kind of like, oh, that's interesting, but not really. But like, people just freaking loved it. And I think in terms of like Metroid games, maybe that's fine. Like, I think it's similar to like, Samus 2 Returns for the 3DS was kind of like that. Like, it was very linear. You didn't really explore much. I think that's how they do Metroid games now. Like, it's not Super Metroid. It's this new series, which is fine, I guess. Everything doesn't have to be Super Metroid, but like, it's a better version of that, but it's not really what I want from a Metroid game.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of like the opposite of that. What happened with like Breath of the Wild, where everybody was like, "It's awesome," but it's not a Zelda game. Where like it's like everybody's like, "It's awesome because it's an old school Metroid game," and you're like, "But old school Metroid games are like really kind of painful to play." Like, I want some like life improvements here. So because that seems. I get the linearity, but I mean, give me Metroid, but give me Metroidvania. Like, I want to be able to reasons to explore, backtrack,
and like a fun world to explore. This world is not fun to explore at all. Like, I went through it the last 2 days where I've been playing it. That's all I've been doing, and like, it sucks.
That's not good.
No. And it's kind of weird. Like, some of the puzzles are, you have all these things and you have to like use these special little bombs that shoot you over, as well as a missile, and then like cling on to this thing to grab this power up, which is kind of cool, because they did that in like Batman like Arkham games. But I don't know. I think the Arkham games, I mean, I guess actually it's similar. Like, because it's more of a Arkham game, like a Batman Arkham game, than it is a Metroidvania game, if that makes sense. So like, it's a very linear path, and you basically are supposed to do the story beats, and you can go do that side mission, but you can't complete it right now because you don't have the triple batarangs, which you don't get till another hour into the game. So really, those games you should play them up until the final boss, and then you go and you beat everything in the world, and then you can go beat the game, right? So that's kind of how this game is.
Yeah. See, and I think it would have benefited, because like, I mean, that's one thing that I've discovered replaying the Mass Effect games is like, it's very like, they're very linear missions. Like, it's very like, run through the corridor, shoot the people, or explore this, or explore that. It's very linear, but it gives you this overworld to kind of choose what order to do things. Yeah. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with being linear. That's fine. It's like, but give me the options to make those decisions.
Yeah. Anyway, so this didn't have to become hate Metroid cast, but I don't know. I didn't get it. I was like, and actually, in all fairness, the Emmys, there are these like weird robots that chase you around in certain parts. You have to hide from them. They're really cool. That sense of dread of this thing like chasing you throughout. Those are actually probably the better parts. And then at a certain point in the game, they just stop doing those altogether. And then it's literally like, it's not like a chase scene or like there's no threat. You just kind of like run past them.
Interesting. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Kind of becomes like enemies in Symphony of the Night, where eventually you're just like, let's skip this room.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. So this game, I don't know. Maybe I'll play better games next year because Bowser's Fury. I had a lot of fun playing Bowser's Fury. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's Bowser's Fury, like Super Mario Revisited. So a remake of a game and like a hour adventure and that. Anyway, so let's look at specifically Podtendo. I know we just looked back at the 100 shows. We're just going to look back specifically this year, and we're going to give a win-place show. So that means our best game, our second game, and our third game of the year. So our choices of games we've just played this year on the podcast are Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask, Jurassic Park for the NES and Super Nintendo, James Bond 007 for the Game Boy, Secret of Mana, Mega Man 3, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Pokemon Snap, the Disney Afternoon Collection, Mortal Kombat, Shadows of the Empire, Symphony of the Night, Mario's 1, 2, 3, and World, or Star Fox. So of those shows, Tyson, you're going to give me a win, place, and a show. So what are your top 3 games of the year?
I'm going to go a little outside the box and not choose the typical ones I usually would, like the Mario Symphony of the Night, like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. I'm going to choose just some like underrated gems. I'm going to go number 1 is James Bond 007. Number 2, I'm going to go Disney Afternoon. And then I'm going to throw Shadows of the Empire on there just because I really enjoyed doing that show and just laughing about Dash Rendar and how this is his interpretation of what happened.
Interesting. Cool. Oh yeah, so myself, interesting. So third place, I have a tie between Mega Man 3. I think that's a pretty fun experience. And the Disney Afternoon Collection. Had a lot of fun. Like that Tailspin game is a lot of fun, Number 2, I'm going to give it to the powerhouses of Super Mario World and Symphony of the Night, right? So I'm going to kind of have a little bit of a tie there. It's just very strong contenders, right? Symphony of the Night, one of the finest games ever made, so you can't say that. And my number 1 too is James Bond 007. Blown away with how much fun I had with that. That's amazing that you also have that as your number 1 game. So I guess James Bond 007, you are our favorite game of the year.
Yeah, well, at least favorite show of the year.
Yeah, true.
Because, I mean, I think there was a lot of for a little handheld Game Boy, that game packed in a lot of fun.
Oh.
And I think it kind of makes me wish that we would have got more James Bond games even on the last console generation or this console generation, because I feel like it's an easy franchise that they could probably just come up with a single player adventure story and just have neat little things where you have to look in trash cans and stuff for secrets, and I don't know, it's delightful. So yeah. definitely a hidden gem in my books. I actually thought you had your list in reverse order because I could easily see Disney Afternoon being number 1 because the amount of value that you get in this game is so good. Holy moly, it's actually incredible. So
nice. Yeah. I don't know why I flipped it that way. I wrote everything down. I don't know what I was thinking.
I know. I wrote everything reverse but
yeah,
I was also using numbers.
Sweet. So there you go.
Little drop down.
Nice. So that's our quick New Year's show. It's New Year's Eve. Hopefully you take my advice in the past and you go and you party on the 30th. It's a little bit quieter. Things are a little bit cheaper. And then you just have more of a subdued day on the 31st. But I also really hate staying up late. So I mean, being forced. New Year's is my least favorite holiday because I'm forced to stay up to at least midnight. And I hate staying up. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock is the latest I want to stay up, go to bed. So in fact, I've set for another hour. And then you have to do stuff. You can't just be oh, Happy New Year's, I gotta go to bed. I hate New Year's so much.
See, I just use it as an excuse to okay, well, I'm gonna start a video game session, and I'm just gonna end my video game session in the middle of the night, because that's when I would be done celebrating. So if you ever want to start a game of Civilization, New Year's is the best day to start it, because before you know it, hours will have just ticked by, and before you know it'll be 2 a.m. and you're man, I gotta go to bed.
I can see that. I mean, I also feel maybe there's I drink too much and then I'm really hungover the next day, so that might be part of it too. I could just not do those things and it'd probably be better, but
Also, drinking makes you sleepy. So by the time like 11:30 rolls around, it's like, man, it's late.
Yeah, true. Nice. Okay, so that wraps up our show. I think what are we at? Where are we at? So you hear from us today, you heard from us last week, and you hear from us next week. Man, we just jam pack all these shows, so it's exciting. You get to hear from us next week.
And then we squeezed 4 into the previous month, so we're just really trying to cram as much as we can to this last year. So
yeah, well, even this, like, we got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 shows. Again, I work on 11th to 11th, so we'll be all right. We'll be all right for timing, I think. No, we're not. I don't know if we have enough time, actually. Shoot. Just thinking about that now for our next show. Interesting.
Well, shoot. Well, you'll know if we do or not.
Hour.
There'll either be an episode delayed or an episode not.
Oh my gosh, I can't really. Man, we should have been faster on these last 2 shows, and like we shouldn't still be talking about this. I guess I think we have like 40 minutes to do a full show. Son of a gun.
Darn.
Maybe we'll have to switch up the order a little bit.
Yeah,
couldn't
hurt.
Okay, maybe so again, a numbered show, you might get like a random movie review before we look at a game that's similar about a game. There you go. There's a spoiler. So perfect.
There you go.
Well, good job, us. Happy New Year's. Any New Year's resolution?
I'll probably figure one out on the actual day.
That's where I'm at. I know it's New Year's Eve and stuff, and I'm like, I'll figure something. I mean, I haven't done the last 2 I've said on this show, so I'm just not going to set myself up for failure. There you go.
Solid plan.
Cool. All right. So with that, bye guys. Happy New Year's.
Bye.